Hey everybody, and welcome back for a preview of a currently running Kickstarter project. This is Frostpunk, the board game, obviously based on the video game IP. This is very much following along in that vein. We are looking to survive in a frozen steampunk sort of post-apocalyptic setting. Our main restrictions are based on temperature and how healthy our workforce are based on dwindling food and heating and resources in this landscape. In the actual game, I believe it's coming with 12 scenario cards, of which you'll use a few each time, so there'll be a variety of different objectives within your game, as well as, much like Robinson Crusoe, a whole slew of different event cards that can come out that really mix up your game. There's laws, as you'll see in this playthrough, that give you various different abilities as well and mix things up. So looks to be plenty of replayability. I'm setting this up as the introductory scenario, so it is going to be a shorter campaign. Normally the game requires you to survive 12 rounds. This one only takes us to the first storm encounter, so it'll probably be maybe 5, 6, 7 rounds depending on how early that storm arrives for us, with a few simple requirements just to get a bit of a feel for things. If it's something that actually, intrigues me, there is a second scenario, which is a full playthrough. But since I haven't given this a test run myself off stream, I didn't want to jump straight into that heavy project. So we'll give this a run. I have read the rules, I've seen a playthrough, so I'm pretty familiar with it, but I will be referencing these rules alongside it. But let's get it set up and jump in. With this, there's a number of tracks which I'll cover as we go through them, and they dictate the number of workers we're going to have, and with those workers we'll be looking to undertake actions on this board based on the buildings that we construct with the resources that we get from the workers that we send out. So it is an engine building game with this engine. This is our generator in a frozen hellscape future. This generator is heating and making it somewhat livable in this frozen terrain. I believe it's only about minus 30 degrees, which, that's fine, right? So with this short scenario, we've got a few objective cards here which we're going to look to achieve. We need to have a beacon built before round 3, and likewise a workshop, and then some other constructions, so bunkhouses built before the storm hits. If we've managed to get rid of all of our other scenario cards, which are these 3 here, before the storm hits, we will have completed it, based on our victory level here as well, on additional little targets that we've met along the way. So this is dictated or indicated here. We've got the event on round 3. This is the storm marker, and I believe it's these cards. Yes, so there. The storm 0 won't be moving, so this is a bit of a cheat, I know. On the first round I'm going to see this. It shows how far up, so 1, 1 and 1 for those orange, yellow and white hexagons will move these tokens. How much food we get, or how much we advance on the expedition. We have our workers, either workers, engineers or children. Cute tiny little children meeples, almost decapitated adults. And I am curious as to these child engineers and child workers. At the moment we cannot use child labour. They are just people that we have to feed, people that we have to give shelter to, and they contribute nothing to society, which, I mean, that doesn't sound right, does it? We should put them to use. For now though, our population is indicated here, so we have actually 5 children, 7 engineers and 17 workers. But you look between these bands at the number of actual meeples for that corresponding. So we've got 4 worker meeples, 2 engineers, and barely enough for 2 children. This is the amount of food in our stockpile, and this tracks how many sick of the particular type we have, or if there's extra hunger. These are levels of discontent or hope, I believe it's. Yeah, hope and discontent. So generally the mood of the population. We have an active greed token and an anger and apathy token in their unactivated or resolved side. I forget what the term. Anger, greed, yeah. We have a justice motivation and an active justice. So various events will reference if you have more justice than apathy, for example, then resolve the law abiding if people don't care. If you've got more apathy than people caring for justice, then people might commit crimes and the people just don't care enough to do anything about it. Because this is such a frozen hellscape, we are going to be looking to gather coal to heat our furnace. To get the generator started costs 1 coal, and each level we move this marker up costs 1 additional coal. So long as we've passed and revealed this space, this is our heat range for the generator. So this is this larger 6-tile hex in the center. That would be heated. This would mean everything 1 ring out would be heated. And this would indicate everything, so they categorize them as A and B tiles. So A is the inner ring and B is the far outer ring. There are also the color of buildings, so orange buildings will be heated no matter where they are, as well as anything in this inner ring. All yellow buildings, and this is all buildings except for blue. I believe there are consequences, so if we don't advance past or cover these effects, we will be dealing some consequences. I will clarify that as we get to that section of the rules. But for now, I believe we are all set up. We've revealed a few additional A tiles. So we've got wood, coal, trees, and 1 steam core. The steam core itself, basically a mini engine that can help heat or power some of our buildings. For example, a hunter's hut, if you use a steam core to upgrade it, becomes a better version. It goes from being a yellow building, which is harder to heat, to an orange one, which generates a good bit of heat itself, and goes from generating 5 food to 8. So just a better version of that building, and they all tend to have an upgrade, or quite a lot have an upgrade. That's just a worse version, actually. Okay, so we start off in the action phase, and we can place citizen meeples on used citizen tokens. Place citizen meeples on used citizen tokens. I mean, that phrasing isn't the most clear, but let's have a look. So we're on page 5, 6. Setup. I've copied the rulebook a few times just so I can have a few key pages open. So let's go for page 10, 11, 12. Generator phase, nope. 13, weather phase, 14, preparation, action phase, okay. 15, 16, 17. So during the action phase, we can do these various things. On your turn, you may first choose to load the generator, then you choose 1 available meeple from your supply to do one of the actions. Before taking your main action, spend any number of coal to fuel the generator. First, you must pay the generator start cost, which is a coal, and this can increase after the storm hits. And then additionally, spend coal to move at 1 space. taking actions. Actions that you perform are taken in either heated or cold conditions based on where we're doing them. Removing snow is always a cold action though. And construction, sending out scouts or special actions are counted as heated. And then other buildings are conditional on where the track is positioned. So we can only choose our heating level first. So let's have a look. Put this back to where it should be, don't cheat. For our starting resources, we do have 4 coal, so we can spend 1, 2, 3. And we'll have heated the inner ring and the outer ring, as well as any orange or yellow buildings, no matter where they are. Yes, and red buildings. So I think 3 coal seems good. We don't necessarily need to heat everything except blue. We don't have this beacon lit. Beacon's quite a large building. I guess it needs a 2 space to build it. We will need that soon. We'll have this turn, next turn, and then it's the start, so we'll have 2 rounds to build it. So that's our heat done. Then we can gather resources. Alright, so this is saying if it's not been started, everywhere counts as cold. It's fine. We have it at heat marker is on the first heat range token. No, we have it on is on the 3rd heat range token, so everything counts as heated. Yeah, that's fine. So then actions. So gather resources. Perform this action, place an available meeple on an unoccupied space which has coal, wood or steam cores. Take up to 2 resources from that space and place them into your supply. Each space can be used once. Construction, you can build up to 3 buildings. Couple of spaces. Large buildings must be built on 2 spaces on the same tile. Yep. Remove snow. So if you do remove snow, you can place 2 near tiles and reveal what goods, what resources are available on them. And that's always a cold action. So I don't believe it's clarified what we do for cold actions yet. No. Send out scouts, but we need a beacon. Use a building. So if it has a engineer icon, which is this fist. Yep. So the platform, the generator can only be used by engineers. There may be special actions that tell you where to go to do them. Okay. So we've got 6 actions. I believe at the end of the book it tells us what various new buildings do. So the platform, introduce a new law. The generator, remove malfunction cubes or spend a steam core to remove all the malfunction cubes. There is a chance, because we're going to roll these 2d8 and add the lowest amount, and if it fills up, our steam core explodes, our generator explodes, which would obviously be catastrophic. I think I might risk that for 1 turn. Platform to get a new law could be useful. Sawmill, we would remove a tree from the same tile, and then eventually we could upgrade it to do adjacent tiles. Unfortunately, there's nowhere with trees with other adjacent trees currently. It doesn't look great to upgrade. Spend wood to gain coal. Coal thumper is as an action gain coal, or using a gathering post gain 2 coal. So if we could get a couple of coal thumpers, which are big buildings, they require 3 wood as well. Next to a gathering post, you could activate multiple. You'd have a... yeah, I mean, it seems unlikely early. This is a short scenario, so that's probably not a goal to aim for. Hunter's Hut as an action gain food. And it's got a passive in the weather phase. As we saw on this, we would just gain some. So Hunter's Huts are very good. Beacon, we can start expeditions. Workshop, when built, reveal the next face down technology card. I don't think we have any available technologies in this, so that won't be useful. We've got one technology here, the lighter scout sleds, but that becomes available from the we need to prepare. So as soon as we have a workshop, we just get this. So yeah, I guess we do need to build the workshop. We just don't need to use the action. Medic posts, cure or flip. Tents give shelter. Bunkhouses shelter. Houses shelter. Hothouse gives us... oh no, I don't think we have hothouse. No, we've got none of those locked. So we don't necessarily need to worry too much about bunkhouses, except for getting 2 of them later, before the storm hits. Because as soon as the storm hits us and the tents would flip, the game is ending anyway. So tents will do just fine for now. Gathering post will get everything adjacent. I think that's definitely something we want to build, but let's start then as a worker action to do this code action. And if we're at the back, there should be the glossary, body token. Alright, that doesn't talk about code actions. Appendix. Remove snow is always a cold action, but where does it tell me? Okay, if it is heated, there are no additional effects. If it is cold, before resolving the action, increase the number of sick citizens of the type used by 1. So let's just check our sickness levels. We have 1 sick engineer at the moment. If we sent another engineer, we'd still be getting the same consequence. So actually we might want to send an engineer. If we're going to do a law, we'd need our other engineer for that. Do we need engineers anywhere else? Not particularly. So although the engineers are the more skilled workers, I'm going to send the engineer so that he increases on the sickness track. And again, this yellow band, so long as they're within that category, they get the effect at the top here. So if we had 2 tokens on 1, both our engineers and workers would be affected by this. The effect for the engineer is currently still the same. They are increasing towards a worse effect, but only the engineer. So I think that's okay. We can either do 2 inner tiles or 1 outer. We've got some resources here. This could be emptied quite quickly. So a gathering hut here could potentially strip a wood and a coal and leave this as a vacant building. So I think we'll explore these 2 A tiles here. So we just place them down. Actually, let's just shuffle up those tiles and see what we get. So 3 wood and a vacant site, which is perfect. If we want to put a building straight there, 1 wood here and 3 coal. And I will lock those tiles so I don't accidentally pick them up in a moment. In terms of laws, let's go for child labour. We use our engineer at the platform. The platform has the law symbol in the centre and needs to be an engineer, as shown in the bottom left. We can activate one of these. Child labour, we will remove one of our hope tokens and add a discontent, which is very bad. But then child workers can be used, children meeples, as worker meeples, so they can gather from gathering posts or resource piles. So we can use them to bring in the resources we might need. And hopefully, if we can construct was there not something I saw which removed discontent? I thought there was a building. Maybe not. Thought we had an active ability to gain some good stuff, but it will still give us 2 more workers at the cost of a few bad things, but let's go for it. So I think we just will claim 1 token and lose 1 token. This was just a setup marker which said to add a particular one. There we go. So anger at the child labour has outweighed our positivity at the moment. but we do have 2 child workers. We only have workers left, but we've got 3 wood. We can do a gathering post. In here. And a gathering post when activated. Take 1 resource from each space on this tile and each adjacent tile. I think we could take, yeah, wood from each of these piles. We've got 1, 2, 3 spaces. We will want to build some tents, so we're going to need some empty spaces, but that can be here and here. And we've got this space empty as well. So we're going to need more wood. Let's send a child here to gather for us 2 wood. And then we send a we send a worker here to build. I want a gathering post in here, which is 1 wood. And I would like a hunter's hut, which can come out here. Which is 1 wood also. And we do have enough wood to build a coal thumper, but we've got no space to put it. But if we could get 2 spaces clear next to we'd get a lot of additional coal. We could really warm things up. Oh, I didn't spend our 3 coal, did I? 1, 2, 3. They're heating up over here. We do need to get more coal. We don't have a lot of sick. Charcoal kiln. If we were to get a sawmill here, would start getting us lots of coal. But we're going to have no shelter for anyone, so let's just build a tent for another 2, and that's our 3 buildings. And a child labourer can go to the gathering post, so we can get 1, 2, 3, 4 resources from it. So we do have enough now for some more building. So we can build a sawmill for 2. Actually, before we go building, let's get a little bit more wood. Where could we come? We can come here for 2 wood. We can then build a sawmill for 2. which will allow us to claim a tree, I believe. Gather resources. Remove snow, build. Where are this sawmill? Remove 1 tree from the same tile as the sawmill to gain 3 wood. So that's just a very good action to get a lot of resources. We have got 2, 4, 6, 8 people and currently just tents for 2. So I think we'll spend another 2, 4 wood on 2 more sets of housing. So then we're only short housing for 2, which isn't so bad. Food-wise, we haven't got enough. So this round we are feeding our children. And we have more children than food. So I think we want to come to the hunter's hut with our final worker. And we will gain 5 food. So we've got a reasonable amount done. We've expanded our town quite a bit. Unfortunately, people aren't going to be particularly happy with our choices because we've sent our kids out into the snow to harvest all these resources. But that is our turn. So action phase is done. We then move to the Dusk Phase. We draw and resolve a Dusk card. There's currently only 2 in here. The inevitable. Every day we fight a bitter struggle against hunger, cold and disease. Each gravely ill citizen dies. 1 citizen gets sick per body token you have. We don't have any body tokens, and I believe a gravely ill token is the one on how is it phrased? Each gravely ill citizen dies. Unfortunately, as this is just a draft rulebook, I don't believe it talks about gravely ill. Okay, here we go. Sickness marker. A marker showing the current amount of sick citizens of the appropriate type. If it's skull side up, the citizen is gravely ill. So for our citizens at the moment, we do not have the skull. It is just a normal marker. So this is resolved. I believe it would say if it gets shuffled into the pile. So that's done. Hunger. Reduce hunger using food. So if we built up hunger in the previous round, we'd have to get rid of it now. And then resolve and reset the hunger token. So let's go to hunger. Hunger phase. At the start of this phase, if your hunger level is 1 or more, you must spend food to decrease it. If after spending food your hunger level is still 30 or more, you lose the gain. Fantastic. If the hunger level is 1 or more, resolve the effect depending on the bar position. If the hunger is at least 1, add a discontent for each skull symbol. Each one dies, that's okay. So we're not going to do any of this because we're at 0. Hunger's at 0. Otherwise, 1 discontent or a discontent and a death. Discontent, 2 are dead. 3, 4, 5. Things are really bad if you're getting that far. Then feed your citizens by spending 1 food for each citizen you have of the type indicated by the current round. And as I said, for this round, it is the green mittens, which is children, then engineers, workers, and then carries through. So children, we have 5, so our food will go down to 4. If you do not have enough food, add a hunger for each food that you lack. If it goes to 30, flip it to the plus 30 side. So hunger, you do have 1 round to sort. So we didn't need to actually go to the hunter's hut tonight. We could have just had a shortage of 1 food. And so long as we had the food for next round, it would have disappeared before we resolved anything else. So we could have gone for coal. And I think I'm tempted to reverse that. So if we pretend this is where we're at, we hadn't gone for any food. We need 1 more than we have. So this would go down to 0, and we gain now 1 hunger. But instead of going to the hunter's hut, we could have come here for these 2 coal. Our resources are looking pretty bare. So that's the hunger phase. Then the night phase. In this phase, you have to provide heated shelter to your citizens. Use all used citizen tokens that have meeples on them back to the bank, placing them in the supply. If you have any used citizen tokens without meeples on them, do not return them to the bank. I'm not quite sure when I use those tokens. That phrasing doesn't quite make sense to me, but I'm going to return my workers. I guess it's if you get a temporary one and you've placed them out, you need to keep track of how many you should actually have, but as long as you're checking with your population numbers here, so 2 children, 2 engineers, 4 workers, which is what we have, making sure we haven't picked up any extras. We have 2 spaces here in the tents, 2 here and 2 here, so we've got homes for 6. Assign as many meeples in supply to available sleeping slots in heated shelters. For each meeple that cannot be assigned to a slot, add 1 sick citizen of the matching type. So again, we can just do engineers. And so long as we build a medic post next round, we should be able to heal them back up. That should be okay. And if we're taking this coal or this coal, we can get that medic hut built. Or actually, we've got a space here as well. Tents, bunkhouse and houses provide 2 slots. Each slot can only have 1 meeple assigned to it. You may not place a meeple in a slot showing this icon. If you survive to the end of the last round or have met the scenario condition, you win. Sickness and death. The sickness marker tracks night phase, dawn phase. Alright, well let's read this. Sickness and death. Whenever a citizen gets 6, move the corresponding sickness marker 1 space to the right. However, if moving the sickness marker would move it to a space beyond the number of matching citizens, we have 7 engineers, so at the moment it's still below, that's fine. Instead of moving that marker, flip it over. If flipped from the skull side to the syringe side, one of your citizens dies. Whenever you would have to reduce the number of citizens you have, and doing so moves a citizen marker to a space with lower number corresponding sickness marker, you must also move the sickness marker backwards until the number of 6 citizens is equal to the total number of citizens. And when one of your citizens dies, follow these steps. So we lose hope as well, which is pretty brutal. Expedition cards are added to the expedition display when you build the beacon or from other effects. To start an expedition, use the Send Out Scouts action. If the beacon is on its non-upgraded side, you can have at most 1 active expedition. If the back of the card offers a choice, choose 1 option to resolve. Continue. Laws, automation, technology, temporary citizens. Okay. So then we are round to the dawn phase. Move the round marker. Resolve the event token. Nope. Morning phase. Draw and resolve a morning card. Okay, morning card. Worker safety issues. Our citizens are concerned about poor working conditions and no safety standards. We must provide safe working conditions to prevent accidents. So if we lose an engineer this round, then there's no further consequence. Or we could add a discontent. It would be very close to losing the game. And a Dusk card 43. I think we will... Was it an engineer? Yeah, an engineer. I think we'll assign an engineer up here for tonight, just to avoid that additional discontent, since I made people angry anyway. We could look at heated shelter law to lose a discontent. Or crowded quarters. I don't think we need crowded quarters because we do need to build 2 more bunkhouses. So this heated shelter could be a useful law just to remove a discontent, make people a little happier. So that was the morning phase generator. So let's read the generator phase. Action phase, weather phase, generator phase. At the start of this phase, check how many citizens become sick based on the overall temperature, the position of the highest heat range token. Providing more heat reduces the number of citizens that become sick. Each icon depicted on the left side of the generator board on the same or lower level than the highest heat range token, but excluding any icons on the same or lower level than the heat marker. Okay, so we have our heat marker on the same space, so we would count this and this, but because the heat marker's here, we ignore both of these. What you would do is add a sick citizen and flip one of your sickness markers over, so somebody gets close to death. So we have avoided that. Next, take a number of coal cubes from the bank, as shown by the position of heat marker on the generator board, and drop them into the top of the generator tower. So we will take 2 coal cubes and place them into the top of the generator. Cubes that fall out are placed on the malfunction track. Oh no. Instead of adding coal cubes to the generator tower, add a number of malfunction cubes from the bag to the generator bag. Okay. Coal cubes. 1, 2 into the generator bag. Roll 2d8. If there are 10 or fewer cubes in the generator bag, choose the lower number. If there are more than 10, choose the higher number. Draw the number of cubes in the generator bag as shown by the chosen die and put them on the malfunction track. Okay, so we need to roll these 2 dice. We take the lowest, which is 5. Fortunately, we do not have 5, there's only 2. But we will place both of them. Oh, there's more malfunction cubes here. There we go, let's get rid of those so it's actually labelled correctly. 1, 2. Alright, that's pretty bad. I just wonder what those numbers were. Alright. The first time in the game that the generator breaks down, perform the following steps in order. Note the current generator start cost, flip the marker over to its red side and increase the generator start cost by 1, and return all cubes from the generator malfunction track back to the bank. The second time, the generator explodes and you lose the game. Brutal. Weather phase. Draw a weather card. So that's here. Progress storm and weather tokens. Must be a random deck because this is different to what we saw before. Storm will move 1. Progress storm and weather tokens. I guess different scenarios, there are different symbols. Collect food based on the number of hunter huts, so we will get 2 food. Sorry, it's on this track. We will get 2 because we have 1 hunter hut, so that's just a passive little bit of food. If we built a second one, we would get 4 food, 5, 7 or 8. And progress scouts on expedition cards. We don't have any. Preparation phase, we will resolve the sick marker. Oh, move the heat range token. We didn't do that. Yellow and white move 1. Okay. So if we want to heat the outer ring, we need to get all the way up here now. But still, 1, 2, 3 coal would ignore the worst of the effects from heating. It's only if we're planning to build anything out there, but I think 3 coal will probably be sufficient for our needs. We run a bigger risk of exploding the generator if we go higher as well. There's no expedition. Preparation phase. Resolve the effect of the sickness mark on the sickness track. We have only sick engineers currently, and this needs to increase by 1. So we go up to 5 sick engineers, which is okay because we have 7 engineers. But next time we resolve it, they're going to flip to their skull side, which leaves them very prone to dying on us. So we want to heal this token down, so we're probably going to need to build a medic post for this turn. Okay, yeah, and some of these used citizen markers as well. So they're too sick to work, basically. And then we're back round to the action phase. So this is the second round. If we're to meet these objectives, we're going to need to build a workshop and a beacon this turn. So that's 3, 4 wood, and we wanted a medic post, so that would be 5 wood. Unfortunately, because of the worker safety issues, we have lost an engineer. And the medic post requires engineers to work it, so if we're going to stop our people from getting sick, we're not going to be able to enact another law at the platform. First things first, we need to turn on the generator, so we're going to use 1 coal, 2 coal, 3. So that we're heating not only around the platform, around the generator itself, but this A ring, which is where we have all our buildings currently. So what can we empty? We need 2 vacant spaces on the same tile in order to build our beacon. And we're not going to be able to achieve that unless we reveal some new tiles. So let's send a worker out. And this worker's going to get sick, unfortunately. But they're going to reveal 2 new A tokens. And this is the building I was looking at. Yes, so we could cook 4 food to remove one of our discontent markers or to add an additional motivation token. We're not flush with food, but if we wanted to save our engineer, we could have added a discontent card and kept him. But it would be a worker to gather 5 food and then a worker to get 4 of that food into removing discontent. I think it's better just to lose the engineer, even if it means we can't enact another one of these laws. We've got child labour already. We could use 2 food. No, I think we've made a right choice. So we send a worker. Oh, I've already done it. Worker to get 2 A tiles. 1 and 2, because that gives us the best option at potentially having an empty space. One, 2, 3 wood. That's 2 trees. And 3 coal. Okay, we're in a tricky spot. Just in trying to get spaces empty. I suppose we could have come out here to gather the steam core. I just don't think we're going to be able to get this done. Now, if you don't have a beacon starting at round 3, at the beginning of each Dusk Phase, hope -1, discontent +1. Yeah, we're just going to have to suffer those consequences. We'll start gathering this wood. We can send a kid out there and get 2 of the wood. And we'll have to just gather it next turn as well to get it empty, but we just can't do it this turn. Oops. We can build the workshop. So I guess we can avoid this one, but the beacon will have to be next round. If we go to the sawmill, we can get rid of 1 tree and gain 1, 2, 3 wood. And we can send a child to the gathering post to gather 1, 2, 3. So we've got enough coal to potentially heat next round, although it will likely need 1 more. Let's do some building. We know we need this space for a beacon. So a medical post. We don't have space. We have so little space to get everything built. We can send a worker to gather coal. We'll gather it from here since it's out of range of the gathering post. So at least we can build 1, 2 buildings, but this 1 wood's going to scupper us. We can actually, you can build where there are resources. You just cover over those resources. So if we weren't bothered by this, or these 2 trees here, we can build the beacon. We've got 6 wood. So a beacon for 3, a workshop and a medical post is 5 wood. I've already put the worker here. I think that's worthwhile. I think we will send... we'll build this. For 2. No, for 3, sorry. The workshop. Which can be here. I'm not sure if you can construct on a space with a worker that's just cleared resources. It does not contain a meeple or another building. So we could just lose this 1 wood. But we know we'll be able to gather that with the child labour next round. So maybe we're better off getting rid of this 2 coal. For a medical post. I feel reasonably good about that. And then we do still have an engineer. We can actually use the medical post. What are you... I mean, that's fancy and all. There we go. And that lets us reduce our number of sick from 5 to 2. Let's do that actually. Again, so that these workers aren't in the danger zone. We haven't got enough food. We've got enough food to get rid of this hunger effect, but then we're feeding our engineers, so we'd end up with 6 hunger. We will be getting a little bit of food from the hunter's hut, but we'll have to probably get another hunter's hut for next round. And we're still short of wood. I didn't even get rid of the other 2 wood. So we're definitely short of food. But if we use a steam core on the hunter's hut, it goes to 8 food, which is a pretty good investment. We'd need a factory before we could upgrade though, so probably just building another one is a better option. Okay, so that's everybody used. I feel less good about this turn, just because we have no food. Yeah, so we move on to, that was action, Dusk Phase, so we will draw and resolve a Dusk card. There's only one in there, which is Social Dispute. It's looking at hope and discontent. We have 2 hope, 4 discontent. So discontent is greater than hope. Depending on which discontent tokens are most common, we have 2 anger tokens as most common. 1 chosen citizen dies. So when a citizen dies, let's have a look. Sickness and death. When one of your citizens dies, follow these steps. Move the corresponding citizen token 1 space backwards on the track. If the sickness marker is on a position higher, draw a body token. If it's a worker or engineer that died, decrease hope a number of times equal to the top value. Or if it's a child, use the bottom value. If you're unable to draw a new body token because the bag is empty, you immediately lose and place the body on the death track. Okay, so we're going to lose. Well, we're feeding engineers this round. We could save ourselves some food by decreasing this. Workers are pretty close to losing us a meeple, so let's kill an engineer, although they're really valuable. Yeah, let's go for it. It saves us 1 food this round. So we can shuffle the body tokens. And 1. Lose 1 hope. So we're getting pretty close to losing the game. After resolving this card, remove it from the game. Shuffle Dusk discard pile and the top Social Dispute. So we can get rid of this card. And this Social Dispute will be added to this Dusk card and shuffled together. So this one says, apply all effects for each type of active hope token you do not have. At the moment we only have justice, so we'd have to turn all gravely ill tokens. Oh, no, that's the one we just did. We'll have to flip a sickness token and add a used worker token. If you've got all of them, then we can gain a benefit. Okay, that's unlikely to happen. But we'll shuffle those up. Hunger, reduce hunger by food. So we'll get rid of 1 food, 1 hunger. And because it's at 0, then nothing happens. Then you must feed your citizens, spending 1 food for each of the type indicated by the current round. And as we were saying, this is the blue round. So we've got 6 engineers. We have 1 food. So unfortunately we will gain 5 hunger. And we'll get some bad effects if we don't decrease this next round. Night phase, return all citizen meeples to supply. So just to check, we still should have 2 children, 2 engineers and 4 workers, which is what we have. Place citizen meeples in heated shelters and every homeless citizen gets sick. So I don't want to increase our engineer sick by 2. So let's do workers. Kids are getting close to losing us a meeple, and since they are labour, they are our workforce, so I don't want to. Plus equally they lose us even more points, more motivation, we can't afford to lose that. Yeah, that seems fine. 2 people sick because we still have 2, 4, 6 tents, so not enough for everyone. Then move the round marker. Resolve event tokens. So we do have an event token which corresponds over here. After you build a beacon, discard this. Oh yeah, we should have added a. What does it say when we add a beacon? Beacon, beacon, beacon. When built, place 2 A-type expedition cards into the expedition display. So this is the expedition display. I believe it's just preset. We only have this one expedition. After you build a workshop, discard this scenario card and place the lighter scout sleds technology card on the display. So that's this one is now available. Oh, this is the expedition display. Okay, here we go. When you start expedition or you continue one, you may move 1 space forward. So we have met both of them, so we're not going to lose hope and we don't lose discontent. Then we have until the end of the game to build 2 bunkhouses. One expedition may be active. When do we do expeditions? Progress scouts on expedition cards. Doesn't really explain. When built, place 2 A-type expedition cards into the expedition display. Ongoing, up to 1 expedition may be active. Let's see, expeditions, are they? Just says expedition display. I think 1 is active. Action blocked. Automations, child tokens. There's no expedition token that I can see to mark where we are. Let's use this for now. Zoom. We have to send a worker to the beacon to activate it, but it doesn't talk about that. Does it talk about it during the actions? When you perform, okay, send out scouts. You may only perform this action if the beacon has previously been built. When you perform this action, take one worker or engineer from the supply and place it on the first space. Okay, so we haven't got anyone on it as of yet, but it is now available to us. That's good to know. Draw a morning card. Young Adepts. Place this card in the events display and place one child engineer meeple on this card. Place one used engineer token in your supply deck. Some of your teenagers prove to be very capable of learning. Place this card on the main event display and place one child worker meeple on this card. Place one used worker token in your supply. And add DO45 to the dust. Okay, so I'm presuming this means we would get a young worker of some kind. Interesting. So this would go to the event display. And Dusk event 45. So search DO45. What we're going to do is just send a worker. A child worker is what we have anyway. Because of the law we enacted, so it's not great. But I don't... Do we need another engineer? I guess it would be useful. We'd lose one this round. But all we'd want to do is the medical post. And... Actually, we could get the technology out, but we haven't even started the expedition and I don't really know what they do. Yeah, let's see what happens from it. Let's send an engineer. We're not using them this round. And maybe we'll get a child genius from it. So what is this? I suppose we shouldn't read it until it comes out. So we add it to the Dusk event deck. Add sick based on the heat token position and its level with this space, and we've got these two covered by our heat marker, so that's none. Our function cubes would be 2. So I won't put them in the bag. Let's roll this, and we're probably going to place 2. Yep. And then what else do we need to do here? Reset the heat token position. Weather phase. Draw a weather card. Progress storm 1 space. Again, 1 and 1 advance. There's more coal needs to go into the furnace to activate this second ring, which we need to do. So that's where most of our buildings, including this scouting balloon, is located. We will get 4 food though, which is very good. And we've got no expeditions going. So resolve sick tokens. These both increase by 1. Syringe, we get 1 additional. And update citizen equal numbers. And then action phase. So heating, we need 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 if we want to avoid 1 sickness, but I think 4 coal is okay. Then our actions. So we need to send somebody on an expedition. Let's replace him here for now to remember we've done it, so at least that's started. We can send a child to the gathering post for a wood, coal and coal. And a worker to the sawmill to get rid of a tree for a further 1, 2, 3 wood. An engineer at the medical centre will get rid of... We could get rid of all our sick workers. We're going to be feeding workers today, so we need 17 food, which is going to lead to a lot of hunger. This is where people start dying. Yeah, let's get rid of those workers. That sick worker. We need to get 5 food from the hunter's hut. At least we're going to get rid of some of our existing hunger tokens. We've got a child who can gather. We've only got 3 coal, which isn't going to be enough to fire up a generator next round. We could send a child out to explore a new tile. Bunkhouses, we said, cost 3 wood, so we've got enough for 1 bunkhouse at the minute. So we could either get more wood so everyone is housed, but I think 1 bunkhouse now for 3 wood, and then we could build another hunter's hut. At least we'll get more random food. This gathering post is pretty redundant though. Actually, unless we explored next to it, which again could be quite a good thing to do, but if we were going to do that, we should have done it earlier. So I think we'll just gather 2 coal. We are running low on coal. We'll probably need 5 to get us through the cold weather next round. So our 1 remaining worker will build. And we need a bunkhouse. We can build that here. So now we have enough housing for all of our people. That will prevent some sickness overnight. and that is 3 wood. 2 remaining wood. Let's build a hunter's hut here to keep our food going. We could just build another one over that wood as well. I think that's going to be reasonable. So both of those cost us a wood as well, and we can't leave that resource on a space we're building. That's our 3 building. We've gone on an expedition, so we'll see what actually comes out from that. We've got 1 bunkhouse, which we need, and then we're just looking to survive to the storm. So we're definitely short of food because we're feeding workers this round. And we have 17 workers and only 9 food, and we've already got a hunger of 5. So we're going to end up with 13 hunger. But if we're not building next round, we could just look at getting a lot from our hunters' huts. We've got 3 of them. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Where are we? So that was our actions. We need to draw and resolve a Dusk card. Let's shuffle these up. We have the social dispute. So apply all effects for each type of active hope token you do not have. We have 1 active hope, which is justice. So we don't exhaust a hope, but we will add a sickness token. No, sorry, turn a sickness token and add 1 used worker token. So 1 worker isn't going to work next round, and 1 of our tokens becomes sick. I think it has to be engineers, which is pretty risky. I don't really want an engineer dying on me. This card then, after resolving this card, remove it from the game, shuffle the Dusk discard pile and the top dispute card into the deck. So the next discard, it will be, well, discontent is clearly greater than hope, and depending on which token you've got most of, which is anger, if we draw this, 1 chosen citizen dies, so that's pretty bad. So let's shuffle that into the deck, and we'll go into the hunger phase. So we reduce hunger using food, and we do have enough to cover this, so we can spend 5 food, so at least we're feeding the people that were previously hungry. So we don't need to resolve any bad effects from hunger token, but then we need to feed the citizens based on the round. Round 3 is our orange workers. We need 17 food. We have 4, so we'll use 4 and gain 13 hunger we need to try and resolve. Night phase. Return all citizen meeples to your supply. He comes back. I don't think we're going to get that worker back, are we? No, he's going to stay on his expedition. Interesting. And 1 worker isn't going to do anything this round, so we're actually short 2 workers. That's pretty bad. So, return all meeples. Place citizen meeples in heated shelters. We do now have heated shelters 2, 4, 6, 8. So everything is heated, no one gets sick from that. We go to dawn. We can move the round marker on. There's no event token. We draw a morning card. Fight for offals. if you have an active justice, we could add a discontent. If you spend 5 food or increase your hunger by 5, we could gain a hope. I want to gain a hope token. I think this should have been added active, presumably. I've not seen anything that says activate a token, so I think they must start active. Let's increase our hunger by 5. If we're going to starve, let's starve big and add another hope token, because we're 1 token away from losing. So it's another justice token. Okay, so that's the morning card generator. Add sick based on the heat token position. And we add 1 sick. So they're in the danger zone now. Place malfunction cubes into the bag. It will be 3 cubes, so let's roll and hope for a low number. Otherwise it's getting damaged on us. It is 3, so 1, 2, 3. Let's see then the generator. First time in the game the generator breaks down, perform the following steps. Note the current generator start cost. Flip the marker over to its red side and increase the start cost by 1. So this will go to the red side. And it becomes 2, so we need even more coal. And if it gets up there again, kaboom, we lose the game. Reset the heat position, then we will draw a weather card. And weather moves 1. And both of these again move 1 space. So we really need to get up to this spot, but I don't think we can. 2, 4, 5 coal. We need 2 to start it. 3, 4, 5. Oh, that damage really scuppered us. Because now I don't think we can heat. Can't heat everything. Can we not gather coal and heat buildings as we're going? Well, let's come to that when we come to it. We're going to gain 5 food because we have 3 gathering huts. And we can advance 4 spaces on the expedition track. So 1, 2, 3. We'll get to the top. I don't know what that means. Expedition. Expeditions. Expedition cards are added to the expedition display when you build a beacon. When a scout reaches the last space the expedition is complete, ignore further movements for the scout. Place the scout to the side of its expedition card, flip the card and resolve the text on its back. Okay. Abandoned camp. We have found something in refugees' camps that was abandoned. Unfortunately, there was nobody there. So we could return with 2 wood and 4 coal, or continue. Okay, I think we need to return because we need that coal in order to survive. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where are we looking at? Expeditions. Choose one option to resolve. If you choose the option, the return option, there are multiple return to city choices. Choose one. Return the set aside scouts back to your supply. Resolve the effect. Resolve the effect depicted at the bottom of all other cards. If any, turn all cards back to the white side. Examples: your scouts have reached the last space on their expedition card and flip it over to reveal lost and found. There are 2 return to city options. If you choose the first, you gain 4 engineers, 4 workers, and you increase hope. If you choose the second, you gain 3 engineers, 2 workers, and decrease hope. Current card is removed, and a new A is revealed. I don't think we have any more expedition cards. Now we return B, it says, so I guess the next expedition would be the ruins. That's the B. I think that gets added to the display. This worker comes back, and that's done. That feels quite good. Although this is after the generator phase. But yes, but it's before the action phase, which is when we choose to heat. That's important. So resolve sick token. So unfortunately we flip the token, which means an engineer dies. And we'd add a sickness, but we can't, so we flip the token. Wow, that's bad. We came to the medical post, didn't we? Oh, we went there. We might have forgotten to flip that token over, but somebody's died, so we need to add or remove 1 hope even. So just as well we gain that hope token because it's gone. Decrease hope a number of times. It doesn't really... Let's see, the hope track. I'm assuming we have to chuck a token each time. If you flip an active to a inactive, that would be much nicer though. Each time you increase, you must choose one of the following options. Draw 1 token from the bag and place it exhausted side up. Or choose an exhausted token and flip it to its active side. Okay. So actually that is exhausted. And I could have 2 justice, which are exhausted, or 1 active justice. Okay, that's fine. Fortunately, we still keep 2 engineers. Then we go to the action phase, and we will use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 2 because of the damage. 3, 4, 5, 6 coal to start it. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6 coal. It just gets harder and harder to keep this generator going. So we send a worker out. So he will go to the expedition. That seems reasonable. Could send a child here to gather 2 wood, but that's going to be this 2 coal. It's going to be the same either way. Storm marker is getting close, but I don't think we need to build this round. So let's come to the hunter's hut. 5 food. We have to get this token down, so we need lots of food. So we can come here for 5 food and here for 5 food. So that's another 10. So we've got enough to cover our shortfall. He's not working. We could get this technology if we built a factory. When you start an expedition, continue on, move 1 space forward. I think what I'd like to do is get the factory built so I could actually upgrade medical post. I think a hunter's hut, because we could spend 2 wood and 3 wood, as long as we get 3 more wood. And then when one of these people go out for food, they could actually get us even more. So let's send somebody here to gather this. No, we need coal. If we gathered wood, we could get a coal thumper. And then coming here would actually get us 4 wood. Sorry, 4 coal. 1, 2, 3, 4 from the coal thumper. But that is 3 wood to build it. So we'd have to harvest this tree, which would require one of our workers. We have to come to the medical post because everyone's dying. What does medical post let us do? Medical post. Cure 3 or flip over all sickness markers that are skull side up to the syringe side. Well, we just want to go Cure 3. I think we'll stick with the skull. So we've got 2 people left. Yeah, I think we'll then send a worker to explore. And we'll explore one of these far out sites. Hopefully it's got coal. And then we could gather 1, 2, 3 coal. We'd have 6. Although that's still possibly leaving us a little short. Yeah, there's a strong chance we're not going to get. When you start an expedition or continue one, you move one space forward. So that would start us one spot, and then it's only 2 away. Let's go for it. We'll reveal a B card here. No. Wood and trees. So we will activate the gather post just because it's more efficient. It does get us 3 resources, but it's not fantastic. Shoveling does get us 1 sick worker as well. I think we'll have to build a coal thumper here next turn, or here. We could just cover a tent. So when we're next to the gathering post, would generate at least a lot of coal. We could get 4 coal from 1 worker. Alright, so Dusk Phase will draw and resolve a Dusk card. Successful education. Change 1 of your child meeples to a worker / engineer child meeple. Okay, so that's pretty good. So we have just changed a child into a child engineer. So if we had gone for the worker one, it wouldn't have done anything for us. Get rid of this token. Unfortunately, no bad effect this round. Hunger phase. Reduce hunger by food, so we've got 18 hunger. That was mad. We're left with only 2 food. Resolve effects, there is none. Feed based on the round. So round 4 we need to feed the kids. So we've only got 5. We've got 2 food, so we're 3 hunger. That's going to be much more manageable. Night phase, return all citizens to supply. So he will come over here. Engineer, engineer. Worker, worker, worker. Child. Yeah, so 2 children, 2 engineers, 3, 4 workers. 2, 2, and 4. We've got houses for everybody, so no one gets sick. Move the round marker. Resolve events, nope. Draw a morning card. Prostitution. So we could turn a blind eye and add a new card. We could exhaust hope or add a discontent. I think we'll turn a blind eye to this. So we want to add event 47. D047. Shuffle that up. So that's resolved. Generator, add sick. Based on heat, we're actually fine. We've covered everything. Heat cubes, we need to add 4. So let's roll this up. 2. So 2 malfunction cubes for the bag. And 2 here. And then reset the heat position. Oh, not on the card there. Over here. Then we will draw a weather card. Weather moves 1. Progress the storm and weather token. Collect food. We have 3, so we will gain 6 food. Progress scouts, so they can progress 3. 1, 2, 3. So unfortunately, we don't get to the end here. I think means we're pretty stuffed on what we can activate. We won't have heating in most of our buildings. It's just going to be pretty awful. What is the workshop? Yeah, stuff's looking pretty bad over here. But we are on the storm marker with our turn marker, so this should be the last one. Resolve sick citizen tokens, so they both just advance 1. And then action phase. So we have 5 coal. We could move 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, we didn't move these up. So we could go 2, 3, 4 and ignore these effects, but only the inner ring and red and orange buildings will be usable. So we've got 2 tents, 1 bunkhouse, a cookhouse, generator, and workshop. And the sawmill here as our only usable buildings. So that's pretty bad, but 2, 3, 4 coal. Let's see what we can get done. We could enact a law to heat shelters up. This is really good now that I've seen it. Hunger phase, reduce hunger by 12 for only 2 food, and you add a discontent. Or heated meals, do any action spending 2 food. And you gain a hope. So, until the end of the game you have to build 2 bunkhouses or lose. You cannot dismantle your bunkhouses. After the storm hits your settlement, place a storm token on this card. Which is probably something over here. I can't see any other storm token. In morning phase, if the storm token is on this card, okay, so be at the end of this, evaluate the goals. If you've got no body tokens, well, we've got 2 body tokens, minimum of 3 coal, 1 automation, and the generator didn't break down. So we could potentially get 5 food, 3 coal, and an automation done. So let's have a look then. For an automation, which did we have? We've got a workshop. you can either add a steam core to a building and flip it over, factory, spend a steam to gain 1 automation. I don't know what an automation is. Does it tell me in the back here? Yeah, spend 1 steam core to gain 1 automation. What can be automated? Automations can be created in the factory or gained through other means. When you gain one, take an automation meeple and put it in the supply. They can be placed in the action phase as if they were a worker meeple, but can't go on expeditions. Each time you use an automation, you must spend 1 coal. Automations do not count as citizens, do not get sick, and do not need shelters. Okay. Okay, automations. Fun. Cool. So we could gain an end game point basically by having an automation. And we can use the workshop. Let's send our child in there to use our steam core to make an automation. That seems good. So the automation can go anywhere. And since we've only got orange buildings heated and this inner ring, red and orange buildings, we could use him to go to the medical post or the gathering post. Let's send a worker to gather some wood. And we can use the sawmill because it's orange. We can send our child there to get rid of a tree for 3 wood. Oh, we needed to spend a coal for the automation. So with this then, we can build 3 buildings. And if we build a coal thumper here, we will be getting rid of a bunkhouse. No, sorry, a tent. I think we will get some resources back because of that. Let's check building. Build, dismantle the building, choose a building on the board without any meeple on it, place it back on the board, take 1 wood from the bank and add it to your supply. So that tent goes back, we gain a wood, and for the coal thumper we're spending 1, 2, 3. So that's 1 building done. We need another bunkhouse. So we can put the bunkhouse we can put them just here, so we're not going to gather these trees at this point. And it's orange, so it is heated. And that, although we could, no, we've got 2 tents on the inner level, which are heated, and 2 bunkhouses, which are heated. So that is everyone covered. So that'll be 3 more wood. So we could then build another coal thumper. For 3 more wood. Do I need wood at the end? No. So we'll get rid of all these resources and put another coal thumper on top. Oh, we didn't use our automation, did we? We just got it. So I've already paid the coal. We're going to send him to this yellow building, which we normally wouldn't be able to do because we haven't heated either the second ring or the yellow buildings themselves. But the automation doesn't care. So he will gather this coal and 2 coal from this thumper and 2 coal from this thumper. Those are our only coal thumpers. So if if we were doing more actions, this would be a problem. Although actually we can do non-heated actions. Someone just gets sick. I mean, I'm saying that like it's not a problem, but if we wanted to heal people, we can still do that. We could go to the cookhouse. We want to have some food. So I think we will send... We can't send engineers unless somebody's getting ill. So let's send an engineer here. So they have to get sick. But then we can heal 1, 2, 3. And then we can send a worker to gather food. We get slightly sick, but we gain 5 food. We've got 3 hunger at the minute. It's 11, we'll be down to 8. We're feeding 5, so we'd have 3 food. We're not going to trigger another action phase, so we will spend another worker, so he will get sick, for 5 more food. I think that's as best as we can do. That will mean we have at least 5 food, we've got at least 3 coal, we have 1 automation. So we'll be on a victory of 4 out of 6. We would have failed on having bodies and the fact our generator broke. Unless anything really bad happens next. So Dusk, we need to draw and resolve a Dusk card. Social dispute. Okay. So we've got mostly anger. So we need a citizen to die. We'll kill a worker. And hopefully... So we use the lower number. Actually, no one even cares. No one cares about that citizen dying. Which seems sad. Remove it from the game. And add another, but... I won't read it because it's not gonna matter. Hunger phase. So where was hunger? Under here. So we've got 3 hunger. So we can afford to do that, and then resolve, and then feed based on round. We are feeding 5. Down to 8. We have 8 food left over. Things are going swimmingly well. Return all citizens. We have a bunkhouse which is heated because we've heated orange. Another bunkhouse as orange. And then these 2 tents on the inner ring are heated because this heats the generator tile, which is this large tile. So we've got space for 8, which is everybody. 1 is actually out on expedition, so we do only need housing for 7. so we're fine. And then resolve event tokens. Draw and resolve a morning card. But I think this ends first. In morning phase, if the storm is on this card, the game ends. It says in the morning phase, so maybe we do still have to do this card. Theft. Place this card on the events display. Place 2 resources from your supply on this card and 2 additional resources for each active greed token you have. We have 1. That's annoying. So actually I think we're going to have, well, if it's now, we're using 4 cubes on it. Ignore. So we could gain a greed and keep all the resources. We could expose it. Well, I think we're going to gain a greed. Just that way, there's no ambiguity. Because we'll keep the resources and we just need it for the points. So yeah, we have survived. Our generator was slightly damaged. This track was starting to get a little unmanageable, although we had just got some coal thumpers active, which passively were generating some good coal, and if we upgraded them, we could get 5 from just going to the gathering post, which seemed pretty good. Yeah, I'm not sure it would have all held together for that much longer, but yeah, this was really enjoyable. I think it captures the feel of the video game really well. You've always got this big storm coming. I believe in the full game, this is like the first storm. You'd move this back and there's an even bigger storm hitting. At this point, we would flip our tents and they would become unusable. So you'd need to be investing into bunkhouses to even withstand this. There'd be more technologies. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It's been a bit of a longer play and learn than I thought it was going to be when I started, although only 2 hours actually, that wasn't too bad. I think I will be coming back to this now. I'm a bit more confident with it, and we can give the full game a run. I should have said at the start, this is a project that's currently running on Kickstarter. Let's take a quick look. So this is still running for 18 days as of, what date are we today? The 10th. So the 28th of October, this will be ending. Almost got to £1 million, which is pretty good going. By Glass Cannon, you can get in a pledge for €75, about £70, or you've got a pretty deluxe pledge at €125, where instead of just having these meeples, it's plastic, although I like the meeples rather than this. But what you do get as well are these miniatures. So that's the steam tower, which would drop cubes in normally, and the amount that come out signify the damage to the core. Lots of decks of cards. Cute little meeples and the automations. They look like nice chunky thick cards which you'd get in the basic game, and the deluxe you get these buildings, so you get a nice 3D visual. special buildings, 12 large buildings. The automations there look really cool. But I do think I prefer the wooden meeples as opposed to these children, engineers and workers. They look nice, don't they? It's quite clean. But the buildings are fantastic. You can add them on to the building tiles. And pre-shaded if you back during the campaign. So a bit of a wash on them as well. Just to have them pop. Yeah, so do check it out. Just kickstarter.com if you're unfamiliar with the platform. It is not a pre-order necessarily. It is backing a project that may not necessarily get created if there are technical issues, but generally with these bigger projects that isn't too much of an issue. I do not know this company myself, though I don't think I've backed anything from them. So do your due diligence. Just bear in mind with Kickstarter it's not a guaranteed thing. It's not a game that is in a store ready to be shipped. This is people basically saying, this is my dream, this is my idea, if you like it, give me some funding so I can pay to have it produced. That is the Kickstarter model, but for what I've played on Tabletop Simulator, this looks really nice and polished. And I shall be trying to figure out where I can get a spare £70 together, because this is, yeah, I think definitely worth a pledge. Whether I go for the plastic, I'll have to see, but it does look nice once it's got that wash on it. There is something to be said for that. It doesn't add anything to the game. I don't believe there's any content. Let's have a check. I don't think there's any additional content in the Deluxe. The board game core pledge plus the miniatures expansion. Yes, so thankfully they haven't made that horrible mistake of putting core gameplay mechanics behind a Deluxe pledge. It does look like it is simply pimping up the game, but maybe. We'll see. Let me know what your thoughts are on that, whether you think it's something you're back as well or what's holding you back. But I've got a couple of other games I'm planning to check out this week. Monday night I was going to look at another Kickstarter. Actually, let me find it if I can. I was going to do Dinosaur Island Raw and Write, and Wednesday Dinosaur World, and Thursday we're looking at Spirit Island as voted on the poll. So possibly Thursday afternoon after Spirit Island we might get back round to Frostpunk. I'd like to get it in before the Kickstarter ends, just in case it's of use to anybody to have that full playthrough. But this is on Tabletop Simulator if you want to give it a go.